What's up, Grid? Guess what? Today I've got a special guest. I'm so excited to really unpack her story. Shelby Osborne. We're going to be talking about your business, how you built it. I see you have a background, like a military background. My dad was in the foreign service, served in the military, so I always love featuring people that have military backgrounds. And it sounds like you're running multiple teams now, have multiple assets. So welcome, Shelby. Thank you so much for joining Grid Talk.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So we were just talking. You're in Charlotte, North Carolina right now, right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what your business looks like today, and then we're going to go back in time, okay? So tell me a little bit about what your business looks like today.
Okay, cool. So I own Five Pillars Realty Group, which is a firm, and we are under EXP. So we do, I don't know, I'm sure you know EXP. So I have an office in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and that's where I kind of started and laid all the groundwork for my business. And I also recently expanded to Charlotte, North Carolina back in October of 2020. And so we have firms operating out of both of those locations. And then I also own an investment portfolio that consists of 74 doors and a consulting company that helps agents learn how to work with investors and helps agents build their own teams. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Awesome. We've got a lot to talk about then. This is amazing. Two kindred souls, right? So how did you end up, from just looking at your bio in the background, it sounded like you started on the investment side first, and then you moved into the agent side?
Yes. So investor minded first and always. It was, I was in the military for 6 years. And after experiencing that for a little bit, I was like, wow, what can I do that I can put the time in up front and that will pay me, for the rest of my life. That's the dream, right? Mm-hmm. And so the investment side really spoke to me. And then as I was getting out of the Army, I was like, what better way for me personally to build my active income than is an industry that's completely nested with what I want to do on the invested side of the house. So it seemed like a great way for me to build my active income to immediately fuel my passive.
So, and when was that? What year was that? When did you start building the agent team?
The team I started in 2019. So January 1st, 2019 was the team. But as an individual agent, I got out of the Army at the end of January 2018. So 2018 was my first year and I was an individual agent. I was Keller Williams Rookie of the Year for the Carolinas region. So North and South Carolina in that year.
Okay, so this is a recent journey.
You're like, slow down.
Yeah, no. The active income piece is a recent journey. So before that, then you were obviously investing while you were in the military. Is that right?
Barely. So I got into the military in 2012. That's when I graduated college and I did ROTC in school. So commissioned as a second lieutenant. And when I went to my first duty station, which was in the beginning of 2013, I was renting and then decided to ask my landlord if I could buy using my VA loan. So it was not an investment per se in my mind. It was just like, I don't want to pay this other dude's mortgage. I'd rather pay my own. So it wasn't until I moved PCS to Fayetteville, North Carolina, Fort Bragg, that I started paying attention to the numbers on that first property and realized I got bit by the bug. A lot of things happened at once. And that's when in November of 2017 is when I closed on my first intentional investment properry.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot of growth in just a short amount of time, right? So 2017. So my question now is, how did you get 74 doors from 2017 to now? Let's walk down that journey.
Yeah. So I'm really fortunate. I have amazing people in my world. But so November of 2017, I bought a duplex. I bought it conventionally and put 25% down because I didn't really know any better at the time for the strategies that I was interested in. And after I did that, I was like, wow, I can't do that a lot because I'd need a ton of money. And so I used my VA loan again on a quadplex. And at that time, I realized that, hey, if you primary residence loan can get you up to 4 doors, might as well put 0% down and get 4. So that was I had my one in Washington at that time, then a duplex that's 2 more doors, and then the quad, which was 4. And at that time, I was getting out of the military, and banks were like, we're not going to give you money. You're commission based, you're a real estate agent. We don't know if you're going to be able to pay us back. And so then I went into private money and started doing the BRRRR strategy. So I used private money to recycle funds, and that that year, by the end of the year, I had 16 doors. So
Okay.
And then, yeah, so single family duplexes, a 16-unit apartment complex. Like I did whatever I could get my hands on.
Good. And this was all in Fayetteville.
2018. Yes.
2018
Yes.
Fayetteville.
Fayetteville.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Fayetteville. Why did you move to Charlotte?
Because Charlotte's awesome. So it's completely okay. So Fort Bragg in Fayetteville, North Carolina is like any military town. It's great in a lot of ways, but it's almost 100% military. It's focused around the military, and it doesn't have the culture and the growth and all the fun things. So literally, it was basically a personal move, to be honest.
Yeah,
and then I was like,
I see it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'd want to move somewhere else, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was 29. I just turned 30, and I'm like, I don't want to be in Fayetteville forever. So it's awesome.
Okay, so by the end of 2018, I think you said you had 17 doors, right?
16,
right?
Close.
Okay, so how did you then get to 74 doors, right? How many assets is that? And I would imagine they're in partnership with people.
There are partnerships in that. So within that, I knew you'd ask. So that's 21 separate purchases and multifamilies within that to hype up. And I have, my largest is a 9-unit, and then I have a bunch of quads, triplexes, duplexes. And yes, there are partnerships involved. So some are 100% me, lots are myself and one other, myself and 2 others. However, I had to do to make the purchase work. Good, and a lot of them are, BRRRR deals or, a lot of BRRRRs. We do a lot of.
So recycling. So what I anticipate, what you did is probably something that I discovered, right? It's like, hey, my epiphany was in 2008. Nobody's giving a recently self-employed guy during the worst financial crisis, and Lehman Brothers just filed Chapter 11 any cash, right?
Right.
So I found other people that had money. One other person actually that had a lot of money, and I found the assets and the opportunities, and then he would fund all of them, and we would BRRRR them, right? Before BRRRR was coined a term, which by the way, they were brilliant for coining it a term.
Totally.
Totally brilliant marketing. But we, that was the only way to do it, right? We would get commercial loans because that's all that we could get at the time, like these commercial loans, and then we would refinance out of those loans, and then we would do it again. So I suspect you did the same. You found some partners. Were people bringing you the deals and doing, or were you bringing the deals and they were supplying the cash? What was the relationship there, or is it a combination of all of it?
So all my private lenders, they have no equity, which is lovely.
Okay.
My partners, so I'm looking at my list. I have my list pulled up over here of all the deals, and actually I found very few of these. That's what I was saying. When there's a couple that I found, but most of them I have really good. I have 2, especially 2 really my favorite partners, and one of them, he comes up with deals all over the place. So he is the one who's working with wholesalers, going to all the meetups, talking to anyone with deals, and also we run a courthouse foreclosure, like MLS. Essentially, where so the courthouse foreclosure process is completely archaic in Fayetteville and in Charlotte. We're doing the same thing here now, and so it's like a pain in the ass to go over there and check every day, pull the file. The file doesn't even have the address on it. You have to flip through all these different forms, and then it's just a pain in the ass. So because we have interns now, we've systemized the process and we've leveraged it out to interns. So they'll update it for us, and from there we're able to essentially have.
Awesome.
An off market. It's essentially an MLS now, just for ourselves and our clients.
What a great idea. That's a great idea. Okay, so you decided, hey, I understand how to buy assets. I understand how to BRRRR out of these assets. I'm all about creating financial freedom in my life. Where did that come from? Help me understand, like, where did that, like, I find that there's a deep-seated something that creates that, right?
And the Army created it, to be honest.
Okay.
I've thought about that a lot recently, and I'm so grateful to the Army because it opened my eyes to exactly what I don't want to be in forever. And granted, I don't regret my time. So I spent 6 years in the Army, and I don't regret any of it because it taught me so much. I made so many connections. Most of the systems and like processes of how I've built my company were based on the foundation of the military. So amazing.
Mm-hmm.
However, with all of that good comes a lot of frustrations, and the military is, we've always done it this way. Shut up and color, don't ask questions, don't change things. And it also is a system that is you're promoted and your income changes based on time spent as opposed to competence. And that just drives me absolutely insane. So I was like, I can just go and create my own world. Why would I wait another 15 years to get, retirement from? No, I'll retire in 3. I'm good. So awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Army, for that.
Yeah, it gave you, right, so the motivation, the push, like all the rest. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's dig into a little of those systems, right? So sure. Give me some different things that you've systemized, right, that you feel would be valuable for other people to consider systemizing as they build their investment business, as they build their agent team, right? Because you and I play in a very similar space. And so I want other people to learn through your journey, right? What would you recommend people systemize that you've done?
I've systemized everything. Mm-hmm. So I go into things with the mindset of I'm only going to do it once. And so as I go through the process, I document, what I've done throughout that process. So that way I can give it on to the next person. And with that, I tell the next person, hey, this is a baseline. As you learn, you plug stuff into the system. That's like your job to continue to grow each system. So for instance, like as an agent, I never drafted the same email twice. I would draft the email once and then save it as a template, save it as a canned email, change out the name. It's the same shit over and over again. Like questions to the attorney, questions to listing agents, questions to sellers. It doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. So all it is you think through once, save it as a template, and then just keep repeating the process. And then same with checklists, I used to manage my own properties before I got to the point where I leveraged that out, but it's the same thing. So it's like the checklist for screening tenants and how to self-manage properties and how to list your home in order to get it for rent. Like every single, and it's really helpful now because it's such a huge save of time. Like, because people reach out all the time. They're like, hey, I don't know how to do this. Hey, I don't know how to do this. It's super easy. You just upload and then you hit send, or you copy one of your templates and you hit send. So they're like, oh, you're so nice. Thank you for your time. I'm like, it took 12 seconds, but you're welcome.
Yeah, you just oh. Okay, perfect. Have you ever taken the DISC? Are you familiar with the DISC?
Oh, yeah, okay. DISC and Myers-Briggs. We use that for screening our agents and our team as well. So,
what are you on the DISC? Do you know?
I'm a D trailed by an I, but I have a high observed C. So when I think people are watching, I'm like, fuck it out my shit. Sorry.
that's the military coming out of compliant, right?
Totally.
Hey, this is right. Right.
Yes. But the D in me is like, I'd rather it be like the rules are there as a guideline, it's the message behind it, but not actually what you need to do, in my opinion.
For sure. Right. You're okay coloring outside the lines is what I'm hearing. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So what does your agent team look like now? Right. Are you only working with investors? Are you working with investors and retail? Like, help me understand what your business model looks like.
Okay. So we have agents who do both. We have investor specialist agents, and then we have like resale residential agents. And ideally, honestly, our best favorite clients are the regular people.
Sure.
Because the commissions are way higher. It's, not as much running around and analysis and all of that stuff. But because it is such a niche, because there are so few agents who understand how to speak the language, how to run numbers, what investors are looking for in the mindset, we definitely have a locked on niche built for investors. So I would say we probably close 60-40 investors to normal people.
Got it. And I know that it's a new team for you. So how many transactions are you guys closing, and what's the goal for 2021, right? What did you guys do over the last, you really you started your team and then COVID hit, right? Last year. And then,
2019 was a regular year before.
Yeah. 2019.
COVID.
So you were full all year was 2019 as a team?
Yeah, 2019 was our first year as a team. Then last year was our second, and this is going into our third.
Okay.
So I know last year we closed 230.
Dude, phenomenal. Phenomenal. Great job. Yeah, great job.
Thanks.
How many agents?
So last year we did it primarily, but we had people come and go. You know how it is.
Sure.
Everyone wants to be an agent, and then they find out what being an agent is like, and they're like, "Whoa,
A lot
terrible."
of work.
So last year 2019 we essentially had 3. We had a lot of people come and go, and ended up with the 3 that started the whole thing. And then let me pull up it's funny, I call it an MTO, which is an Army word. But last year we had a couple more bigger hitters. And then this year we have 12 agents in Fayetteville, and in Charlotte we have 14. Charlotte's growing so fast. It's ridiculous. But that's the thing too, is like you get the newbies. So I even told them this in the beginning. I'm like, I see all you guys sitting here. I'll be surprised, 1/3 of you maybe by the end of the year. And that's okay. Like, it is what it is. And I used to get so invested and but now I'm just calloused. You probably know how it is.
Well, no, I know exactly what you mean. What's interesting is I've over the years, I mean, this is not about me, this is about you, right? But I over the years realized I would have agents stay with me for a long time. And one of the mistakes I made was, is that I wasn't growing fast enough, right? I had created kind of like this a little elite team, and we were just a high performance team. But then what happens is you realize you want to grow, and that means that you have to start adding additional people. And when you add additional people, turnover starts occurring faster.
Yep.
And then I had somebody say to me, big icon in our business, listen, to build a Navy SEAL team, you need a Navy, right? And I started thinking, I'm like, yeah, he's right? You need to be able to pull the best and brightest. So we need to hire more people, and we need to see who's going to rise to the top, right? And then we give them leadership opportunities and growth opportunities. But look, Shelby, that took me a long time to figure out. You figured it out a lot faster than I did.
It's so funny you said that, because my first year, 2019, one of my main things is I was like, we will not have anyone on this team who's not absolutely stellar. Like, I was so crazy that I was like, we're going to make them do like a PT test, like physical. It's the other people were like calming me down. They're like, you need to chill.
What is it called? The Murph? Because you're in the CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
That's part of your interview process.
I was a little crazy, and it showed. I mean, we started with 3 agents who I loved, and we ended with those 3 because no one else could cut it. Because I had this mindset of like, everyone has to be, this is top tier. We don't mess around. And since then it has morphed for sure. And now you're absolutely right. We take on more with the knowledge that not everyone's meant to last in this industry, and not even top tier. It's just real estate's hard. Yeah. It's really hard. And so a lot of that has shifted, and it has been a mental adjustment for me. But overall, I'm actually happier, because in my first year, and even going into the second, I just wanted so hard for everyone to be absolutely stellar, and people excel in their own ways. And I've had to adjust my idea of what stellar is. So yeah, I'm rambling now, but it's been a lot of growth.
You know what I'm thinking about is, and I don't know if anybody's told you this, and I mean, you could see it. I meet people along the way that just like, they're not afraid to fail faster, right? And what I see is that you've gone out, you've taken action really, really fast on the investment side, and now really, really fast on the agent side, right? Yes. And sometimes when you do that, things break, right? It's just like things break. So I'm curious, along the way, have you hit any walls? Have things broken for you? You're like, oh shoot, any lessons learned, right, during this process? Or are you like, no, it's all been good. We've been good, right? I'm curious.
Well, real estate's a really interesting thing. It's like, when you take a step back and you like pull yourself out of the grind, you're like, everything's good. Like, I'm choosing to live this life. I get to decide my day every day. But when you suck yourself into the weeds, I call it, ground or air game versus ground game. Mm-hmm. So when you're like in the trenches, you're like, this is terrible. why does anyone do this? Because it's frustrating too, because of course you want everyone to be happy. You want every deal to go perfectly as, you envisioned it. And that's just not the way that the world works. It's not the way that real estate works. And as much as you do have systems and you do have checklists, and it's constantly an adjustment. And this is a lesson that I recently learned hard, is that I got a little burnt out for a little bit, because I was like, I work so hard. My team is amazing. They really are so hard to build this business. And we want it to be like, we're done. We've built it. It's here. I recently realized that that's not ever a thing, because every single day is an adjustment. The people change, the society changes, technology changes. And it's like, the minute that you accept that you're never actually done, and you actually enjoy the journey and realize that you are choosing to play a part in an opportunity to build a community and to build an organization that can impact people and change the trajectory of their lives, like that mental switch was everything for me. And
okay. Again, profound, right? It took me a decade to figure that one out, right? And it's so true. Did you have the epiphany, or did somebody give you the epiphany?
It was myself and actually Jordan Peterson. Do you listen to Jordan Peterson? Do you know who that is? Mm-hmm. So he's a clinical psychologist, actually, and he's written a couple books, and it's just absolutely fascinating to listen to. Okay. And when I have my moments of like, I just listen, and I always pick up something where I'm like, that's completely applicable and that's true. And he has cut my learning curve down significantly for life.
Well, he has a podcast. I'll have to go in. I'll listen to him, or his YouTube channel, Jordan Peterson. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's a Jordan Peterson wrestler who's just a total badass. So that's who came to mind for me, right?
Not quite, but.
Okay. So yeah, it's the journey. It never ends. Technology changes, ads change, the way marketing happens changes, everything changes. So it's this constant, never ending improvement, this incremental turning of the dials. That's why I said, you're constantly turning the dials, right? And it is about building community, which is what Grid is all about, building community and being surrounded by like-minded people and constantly learning from everybody. So if I was to ask you this question, what does your business model look like, right, for the next 10 years, right? And I know that, maybe you have it, maybe you don't have it, right? But there's this, I'm on this journey, and this is the destination that we're going on, right? Do you know what that looks like for you at this point?
I'm trying to grab my notebooks. This is actually what I've been thinking about a lot.
Okay.
Let me see. So, and it's hard. Do you mean like for real estate? So what I've realized recently, that it's not all about real estate. It's
right.
It's exactly. And so it's like, and it's funny you call it buckets. I called it tiers in my brain when I was going through this the other day, because it's like my smallest level of impact and family, and my direct connections, my relationships that I have, and building and fulfilling and growing all of those. And then the next level would be this, which is this level. I think it's like a mid-level community where you are. So I'm all about the community that we have on our team. I'm huge on culture. It's like my biggest freaking thing, but also our impact on like the cities that we live in, because we do Pints and Properties Real Estate Investors Meetup, where we have people come, and it's just nice to see their eyes light up and their lives change a little bit. So there's like that level. And then eventually, I'm still trying to figure it out, but we got to change the world somehow,
Well, you're changing the world already, right? You are. Doing these things there's this trickle effect that happens, right? Somebody learns something, it changes somebody's trajectory when they hear something. I know I was reading through a blog post that you had written. You were like, listen, Bigger Pockets changed my life, right? Like what you learned there, the people that poured into you. I like to think that you've done that for other people. I know that we've done that for other people, right? And so the trickle effect of that is just amazing, right? The positive you leave. So I think of them as like, you have these different buckets, right? You've got this family bucket, this health bucket, this spirituality bucket, there's all these things that we want to make sure that we are, it completes the full person, right?
Totally.
And, when I was on your Instagram, I'm like, this girl loves to work out, right? She's about working out. She's got a whole other tribe of CrossFitters, right? And working out and all the rest. I saw you doing backflips and, doing a backflip, into the pool. So it's very cool. So why don't we go there real fast, right?
Sure.
What do you love to do?
I do love CrossFit, but it's not even CrossFit. It's like more of, it extends farther than that because I like to see what my body is capable of. And I've liked to change my mindset on my body about like food was weird at one point in my life where I wasn't exactly happy with, and it was really just college because I was drinking every freaking night and eating at like 2 a.m. like pizza. So, so I went through that whole phase and then I kind of shifted of like, what makes me happy is being able to test what I'm capable of in all ways. So I like to be able to climb a mountain. I love skiing. I like to, swim and test whatever physical limits I have. And I can't do that unless I can move my body. I like the fact that I can climb a fence if I need to, or hop over a whatever, or run faster than that bear that's chasing me. And with that, my mindset shifted on food too. So like, I love food as much as the next person, but like ultimately it's fuel. So like, why would I not give myself the food that in drinking and all of that stuff that makes me feel the best physically and makes my mind work faster? Like one of my favorite things is being like on it. I love to like be 3 steps ahead. I love to have thought about it all through, and like, it sounds bad, but like mind games too, like not games, but like being able to craft my message in a way that resonates, even if it's not like what the person wants to hear. If you deliver it in a way that you've thought through and makes sure that they're not ever defensive, like setting all the little stage for that. And I can't do that if my brain is slow, which means that I can't eat shit, which means that I need to go to sleep. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. The funny thing for me was as I got older, alcohol started to affect, like I could now have a little bit of alcohol and I could feel it the next day. And I don't like how I just stopped, right? I was just like, because I like feeling like I know, when you know how your body should feel at an optimal level, everything else, whether it's, the type of food or drink or whatever, everything else, like, I just don't want it because I'm like, I don't want to feel sluggish the next day or tired the next day. I like it. So it's interesting. And food will do that to me as well. But alcohol especially, like I'll have a sip and everybody knows it's the big joke in my office. Like I'll feel it. I'll feel it the next day. And I'm like, not worth it. Sucks.
Yeah. That's one of my things that in my notebooks is like, one of my goals is peak performance. And I know that you can't stay at your peak state all the time. Like it's impossible to always be at your peak, but like I would like for myself physically and mentally to feel as good as possible for as many days as possible each year. And it is one of my goals.
So let me ask you, what does your schedule then look like, right? How have you organized? Okay. How have you organized your life?
Yeah, I'm very structured. Are you familiar at all with the MBTI, like the Myers-Briggs assessment? I know you talked about this.
Yep.
So I'm an ENTJ, if you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I live by my calendar and I go to sleep in bed by 8:30. I know it's crazy, but I'm up by 4:30, 4 or 4:30, and my mornings set the stage for my entire day. Like that time that I have for controlled self-development time for myself and my brain, that's where like the magic happens. That's where not only do I learn, so I do like self-development stuff. I love learning, I really do. But also I clear, it's like a reset. Get rid of the bullshit, all the superficial gone, priorities locked in, and then also thinking. That's something that I feel like most people don't do. And I think it's one of the reasons why I've been able to expedite my progress, progress more than anything, is because I take the time to do nothing except for think. I'm like, okay, truly, where are the biggest problems in my business? Like, what are the things that I could do that would expedite success more than anything? And then I do those things. And most people just wake up and they react. They react, and then they're exhausted and the entire day is gone. And they're like, where did it go? And I'm like, well, you chose to live that life. You chose to being proactive is where it's all about. And cutting the fat.
So 4:30 to 5:30, thinking time or workout time?
No, it's thinking. So it's anywhere from 4 to 4:30, depending on how I'm feeling, until I leave for the gym at like 5:54. It starts at 6. I do this other thing too, where I don't commute. Like I live exactly where I want to live for my entire world. And so it takes me 5 minutes to get to the gym. And then from 6 to 7, it's the gym, and I come back and shower and usually jump right in.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready by that time.
Okay. And then are you having a team meeting early in the morning, or what does the rhythm of the day look like for you?
It depends. So on Monday and Thursday, we do team syncs, and that is on Monday, it's super quick. Like I'm all about efficiency. I hate when people talk and I'm like, you're saying nothing that matters. So I don't waste people's time in my team sync either. It's literally 5 minutes. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on this week. These are the things that we need to do better. Usually it's stuff that we messed up recently. And I'm like, change the system, whatever. And then I'll hit on numbers, and that's Monday. And on Thursday, we do the exact same thing, but then we do a training. And it's blocked from 9 to 10 on Thursdays because we train on something every week.
Okay.
And usually a nugget. I like to give them a nugget because what I've learned is, as much as I say you guys should read, they don't.
Sure.
And so I'll pull out whatever that's inspiring me at the moment. I'm like, here's your nugget. Do it.
It was funny when you were, just to go back, I meant to say this, like when you were saying, like, I love to see how my body reacts and how I can push it. I was thinking Tim Ferriss, right? Like, here's a guy that measures everything, how much liquid he puts in his body, and how, like, every single carb and every cal. And I mean, he's the extreme of that, right?
Yeah.
So I heard a little bit.
I'm not that.
Okay.
I'm not that extreme. With
He's the extreme. Yeah. That's too far. That's too far, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So where is your thinking time now around investments? Because obviously you've built this, you're building this, what you call active income, and I call it like it's the earned income side, right? So the earned income side is our job. Like we're doing this, we're building, creating income as agents. And then the goal, at least in my mind, is you take this earned income and you're buying assets, you're investing in people, you're investing in assets, you're investing in other things. So where are you creating that space, and like when do you start doing the investment piece, or is it always just kind of mixed in the day, right?
It's so I do time block for it. Like actually today, all day I've been going through a lot of stuff with properties and finances and all of that. I time block for it, but it kind of rotates. So it's not like on Monday I think about 5 pillars. On Tuesday I think about whatever. It's like whatever is the greatest need at the time rises to the top, and that's where I focus. But for investments right now, actually, this first quarter has been like my focus has been to settle. Like we have real estate, we have renovation projects that are still ongoing. There's like a lot of things that I just want to tie up before, because I never want to be I love pushing every limit, don't get me wrong, but I never want to be that one who is stupid about it. So like I'm really big on calculated risk. And right now I need to settle. And also the other thing is deals are scarce right now.
Yeah, hard.
And and so I don't want to just buy just to buy. Like so I'm
You're being smart.
I'm being in my mind, hopefully.
Well, well, here's the truth, right? How old are you? Did you say?
30.
30,
yeah.
Right? 30. You haven't been kicked in the face by a real estate crash. Right. But so the fact that you're already thinking this means that you're not going to be. Does that make sense? You're going to be able to pivot quickly. The only place that you can get in trouble is when you're carrying some of these assets over a 6-month to a 2-year time frame. If you're doing development work, then that's where it becomes an issue. Or you've just got massive negative cash flow on some of the assets that you have, which doesn't sound like that's the case, right? So, so the fact is you're thinking this already. It sounds like you're selling some of the reno assets. Are you selling rentals as well?
No, I actually haven't sold any rentals. We had some flips that they actually all just closed now, so that's good. But they're BRRRR projects. Like the 9 unit is a big giant renovation project that's still ongoing that we're wrapping up. But it is good. Like over time, of course, you learn the things that you like, you learn the things that you don't like, and you plug in people where need be to like pull yourself out of the things that cause stress and anxiety in your life. And one of the best things was freaking this. She's actually my listing coordinator. for my Fayetteville office. And she's like, I want, additional opportunities, whatever. And I was like, perfect, project management. This girl is all over these contractors for the listings. Please manage my renovate. So anyway, I don't think that was actually relevant to anything.
No, but meaning like you're already thinking, hey, it's hard to get a deal right now.
Yeah.
I'm making sure I'm getting my projects done. I want to be smart. I don't want to over leverage, overstretch. All great, right? And the biggest regret that I normally hear from investors, and it sounds like you're not going to make this, you're only 30, so I'm going to pass this along to you, and I think you already have it, because I'll interview a lot of investors. I've interviewed a lot of investors through the years. It's like, I wish I'd kept more of the assets that I purchased, right? Sometimes people feel like right now they're timing the market. They're like, listen, I'm going to sell this stuff because I'm going to take all this money off the table, right? And then they look back on 15 or 20 years later and they're like, damn, I wish I hadn't sold those assets, right? Because even though I made money now, like I know that my wife and I sold a bunch of stuff in 2004, 2005, knowing that there was going to be a correction. And I thought I was brilliant when there was. And then I realized, and today I wake up and say, I wish I still own those properties. Yeah. We're above where the prices were and those assets would have been paid off. Right. And I should have found another way to make additional active earned income, right? Instead of taking the money off the table, which is why I like this model, by the way, of active income, active income, and investment income. It's such a great blend, right? 30, 60, 90, and long-term wealth building. So you mentioned something, and I don't want to skip over it, and it sounds like you're consulting with people on how to do this, right? Is that right?
Agents specifically, we're actually just about to start, which I can talk about in a second, but our consulting program that we have now is geared towards agents. And all of it is just because we get asked the same thing over and over again. There's agents who want to learn how to work with investors or how to build a model like ours where we churn investor clients. It's not just one. It's like we have a process of onboarding, screening, making sure that they're trained up so that way that the investor has the ownership of their own, you know what I mean? Like it's a process. So that's one of the consulting businesses. And then the other one is how to build a team. So because our team, granted, we've only been around since 2019, I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of it. The way that it's structured and the way that we onboard people and the way that we hold accountability and mentorship and all of that stuff. And so we've had people being like, I want to learn how you've done it. And it actually is really refreshing because it's cool that here's all of we give them everything. And that's the cool thing. It's not just like this hypothetical, like, this is how you create a team. It's like, no, here's your checklist. Here is the, step-by-step milestones from contract to close. Here is exactly every canned email that we have that we send to client. Like it's everything. It's like everything.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. We've created all that back end. We call it zone, right? We have a whole zone selling system around it. Okay. Well, and it's interesting because we have a division that only works with investor builders as well. We have a ZTL, a zone team leader, who that's their only focus. And she's got a team of 4, and they just work with our builder, developer, investor clients because it's a whole different language. The avatar, the person has to have a passion around that. They need to be wired that way. I was wired that way, but there's lots of agents that are not wired that way, and that's okay. Totally. There's really good, what we call hyper-local geographic business, right? Mm-hmm. And we teach agents how to zone hyper-local geographic businesses like that, and then I have a ZTL for all the investment stuff, right? So we'll definitely have to collaborate a little bit on that. For sure. We're building very similar things, right? A couple last questions, right? Number one, what advice would you give anybody on this real estate entrepreneur journey? I love using real estate entrepreneur because it gives you the ability to be both agent and investor when I say that. Really? Right? So somebody wants to do this and somebody wants to be you, right? Start like you. What advice would you give them, right, on the investment side?
This would be the same on both sides, actually. Okay. It's our number one core value. It's Ownership. It truly is. I think every single thing goes back to ownership. You are the reason that things happen or fail to happen. There is absolutely no time where you can say, well, the attorney didn't do this. The answer would be like, when did you check in? How many times did you call them? Did you make sure it was on track? Like, and that's the thing people don't realize. And even my new agents starting out, they're like, well, I have a couple clients and, we might be, I'm like, what have you done to try to solve their problem? First of all, what is their problem? And did you solve it? Because it's nothing about them. It's all on you, every single thing. So
Ownership. Cool. Actually, so what are all your core values?
Yeah, sure. So extreme ownership. And they're, so it's like the title and then they're broken down within, but I'll just skip the titles. Okay. But extreme ownership, problem solvers, trustworthy, and growth mindset. Those are our four core values.
So it's very, very similar to ours. We call it forward, right? And in forward, O is own it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the A in forward is always be learning, right?
Perfect. So, yeah.
We've got some of the similar, because to me, it's all about, you got to own it. You've always got to be, you've always got to be learning or you're going to be dying, right? And we're very big at creating raving fans. So we've got raving fans and results matter and do the right thing.
Yeah.
Different things, family first, right?
Love it.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So own it on both of them. It sounds like I read on your blog and I was like, yeah, I love it. You were like, listen, you have to put in the hard work. You've got to listen to the podcast. You have to read. You have to attend the investment group. You need to make the offer. You need, right? It's like, that's the extreme ownership, right? Mm-hmm. That people don't realize is required in order to make it happen, right? And when I read those words for me, I was like, oh yeah, she gets it. Like this is it, right? Like I think of the extreme ownership my wife and I had when we started this business, just crazy extreme.
Have to.
Yeah, this is like if it Gary Keller said, I love this. He said, he used to say to himself, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And then he said, there's too much doubt in that, right? And he changed it. And he said, if it's going to be, it will be me, right? And I was like, right, that is strong,
so true.
Right? So true. It's just, you can't move me. I'm going to do it, right? Like I'm going to do it.
Yes.
I'm an unmovable object, or however he kind of refers to it. So, okay, well, where can people find you, right?
Yeah.
Find you.
Instagram or Facebook. I'm Real Estate with Shelby Osborne. And then my team is 5 Pillars Realty Group. We're on Instagram, Facebook, or 5pillarsrealty.com. Any of those would be good starts.
Awesome. So any referrals down to Charlotte, right? Or Fayetteville, North Carolina.
That's right.
Okay. Awesome. Anything else you'd want us to know? Any question that I didn't ask you that you're like, Rob, hey, I'd really want people to know about this, right?
No, I'm good.
You have a dog.
I talk so much.
Married, single, partner. Like,
nope.
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 Everything is you're building. You're building. Your baby is the business.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being part of Grid Talk. I know I got a lot out of it, and I'm glad that we made a connection. So,
same. Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun. Thanks.
Awesome. Yep.